So this past weekend, my uncle showed me this news clip discussing the rise in popularity of AI girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, and wives even. And part of the clip was an interview with a woman who had an AI partner, and it showed her talking to it. And it was talking back to her with these stiff, unnatural facial movements, with a text-to-speech voice on top of that. And me and my uncle just couldn't help but feel that this was one of the saddest things we have ever watched. But the woman in the video was like, "This makes me happy, this fills a void," and on one hand, yes, I'm glad she's happy. But I also can't imagine being so lonely to the point where an AI chatbot is enough to satiate you. And that's not me trying to spit on these people from my ivory tower, because I've made it clear a million times over on this channel already. I'm no social butterfly. I have very bad social anxiety. I'm pretty much a shut-in. I mean, I have friends in real life that I don't see all that often. I mostly talk to them on Instagram. And I have online friends who I talk to on Discord, so outside of the family I live with, I have very limited interactions with other people on a face-to-face level. But even I have never considered seeking companionship or any type of relationship with a chatbot. Well, I also just don't care in general about seeking companionship, at least at this point in my life. But anyway, I can't imagine talking to a chatbot out of a need for socialization. Because if I did, personally, it would just feel wrong, because I would know in the back of my mind the entire time I'm not talking to a real person. There is no real emotion behind the words being said to me because it's a fucking AI software talking to me and not a real person. When I think of a romantic relationship, I think of being committed to a real person who can tend to your emotional needs, understand your feelings, empathize with them, relate to them. I mean, sure, an AI chatbot can simulate empathy and tend to your emotional needs in that fashion, but that's all it is at the end of the day, a simulation. There is no real connection between you and your AI partner. There is no authenticity behind the words said to you by your AI partner, because everything said by an AI is calculated and not rooted in any real emotion or thought process. And that's why AI can't replace real human interaction for me, especially intimate connections. I like having a real person to talk to who can actually understand what I am talking about and possibly relate to what I'm talking about, because to me, part of the human experience is getting to know other people, talking to them about their experiences and how they differ and relate to your own, and that's what makes talking to other humans interesting. It's not like talking to an AI software that's merely programmed to tell you what it thinks you want to hear the most. Frankly, I think the rise in popularity of AI partners, or companions in general, is a sad commentary on how alienated a lot of this world has become, particularly younger generations. I know, loneliness is universal and can be experienced by anyone at any age. I'm sure you could point at examples of people who are over the age of like 60 who have AI girlfriends or boyfriends or what have you. But honing in on Gen Z especially, as much as I don't think AI is a replacement for real human interaction, on some level, I do understand why some people would turn to AI for some outlet of expression and interaction. I turned 18 in March of 2019, and I graduated high school in June of that same year, and I'm sure we all know what happened soon after that. COVID obviously happened. Everything shut down. We were told to isolate ourselves in our homes for who knows how fucking long at the time. Imagine your first whiff of adulthood being spent in isolation. Well, I mean, I know a lot of my audience is around the same age as me, so I'm sure a lot of you don't even have to imagine that. Or even people who are younger than that, people who were still in high school or middle school when the pandemic happened. Your teenage years and young adult years are crucial and formative years that especially impact social development. Sometimes I think to myself just how lucky I am that I finished high school right before the pandemic happened, because most of the real life friends I have, I met in high school in 2019 2017 when I was a sophomore. I have also made other friends that I have met from those friends that I made back then. And the reason I know any of these people is because I befriended one kid who I had a few classes with back then, who introduced me to a lot of these people. If the pandemic had happened just a few years earlier than it did, or if I were just a few years younger than I am, I would have never had the opportunity to make any of the real-life friends that I have. But for a lot of Gen Z, that's reality. They missed out on properly experiencing major milestones, like transitioning from one school to the next, or transitioning from high school to college. They missed out on the opportunity to make potentially lifelong friendships by not being able to go to school or college physically and interacting with other students. Even I, someone who is antisocial as fuck, got tired after a certain point of being hunkered down at home and was excited when I was going back to having classes on campus again. Now, obviously, COVID was and still is to an extent a public health and safety hazard, and I'm not saying it wasn't justified to have people stay at home during that time. But I also can't deny that as a consequence of that, more people now than ever have stunted social development. A crucial portion of their lives that would normally include them getting to meet and interact with other people their age was severely negatively impacted. And now we have a lot of people who don't know how to interact with other people, and so they turn to AI, because an AI won't reject them like a real person possibly can. So on that front, yes, I do understand why there is a surge in people turning to AI for companionship, but with my partial understanding also comes my sadness for these people, because AI will never be a substitute for real human interaction. We don't just talk to people because they simply say things that we like. We are also hardwired to enjoy the complexities and nuances that come with a person, and the different types of personalities that people have, and their interests and their dislikes, their hobbies, how they relate to you and how they differ from you, all of which make each and every single person on this planet on some level unique. And that's why no matter how lonely I get, AI can never satisfy the void that can only be filled by just simply talking to other people. Because an AI chatbot lacks all of the qualities that are unique to humans and are what make humans interesting in the first place. Really sad and lonely times we're living in, aren't we? Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.